Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about a question I get asked quite a lot, which is that should I go into accountancy through applying for entry-level positions, or should I get into accountancy through applying for graduate training schemes? Now, in today's video, we are going to be talking about the things you need to consider when making a choice as to which one of these routes would suit you best. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Tess and I'm a qualified accountant based in the UK. And on this channel, I share lots of useful resources for those who are looking to go into accountancy as a career here in the UK. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, then please do make sure you give this video a thumbs up and make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. So let's start by talking about the things you need to consider when you are going through the entry-level routes as an option. Now, if you're looking to apply for entry-level positions, entry-level positions are positions such as applying for jobs as a bookkeeper, a payroll assistant, an accounting assistant, for instance. These jobs will provide you, early experiences to actually help you then secure more senior accounting roles. So they can be a good way to actually get your foot onto the ladder when you are looking to actually get into accounting and you don't have any prior experience and you're very new to the field. However, there are some things you need to consider if you're looking to apply for entry-level positions as a way to get into accountancy as a career route. The first thing you need to consider is the fact that a lot of entry-level positions that are offered by employers typically don't always come with the funding support that you might need to help you through your qualification. By funding support, I mean if you're looking to take the ACCA, ACA, CIMA, or indeed any other accountancy qualification, you are going to need the relevant funding that will actually help you through your journey. So a lot of the roles, a lot of the entry-level positions don't always come with that guarantee that the employer is actually going to be willing or wanting to support you on your qualification journey to actually help you with the funding. Now, in some cases, they would offer the funding, and if they do, they may not offer 100% of it. So even if they do, I would always make sure that you double check with the relevant employer, double check their terms. Sometimes they will only pay 50%, sometimes they will only pay 75%. Another thing to consider when going through this route is also the fact that a lot of employers will not typically give you the additional support you necessarily need when you're studying and having to work at the same time when you are applying for an entry-level role to get into accountancy. By this, I mean the fact that in most cases, when you're studying, you will often need to take additional time off, to help you write those exams or as part of your study leave, etc. It's not always a guarantee that the employer is going to be willing to actually support you with this. In most cases, you are going to have to use quite a bit of your annual leave to cover for any additional study leave requirements that you might need to actually help you on this journey. Not always the case, but it's definitely always worth checking with the employer before you go ahead. Next thing you need to consider when using this route into accountancy is the fact that a lot of entry-level positions don't come with the guarantee that they are going to, offer you that opportunity to broaden your skills and broaden your experience during your time training. Okay, so it's not a given that the employer is going to put in place the necessary skills and developmental support that you might need to actually help you gain as much experience as you need as you progress through your exams. So it's definitely worth checking with the relevant employer what additional support they're willing to provide you with as you go through your exams, as you go through the relevant training process, because with entry-level positions, it's not always a guarantee that the employer will put in place any particular developmental milestones to help you achieve your growth that you need to become a successful accountant. The other thing to consider with going through entry-level positions is that a lot of the time entry-level positions will not always require you to be a degree holder, okay, or have met a particular minimum requirement on a degree. So in a way, it can be slightly easier for you to get an entry-level accounting position when compared to getting a graduate position. In terms of using the graduate training program as a route to get into accountancy, one of the main things you need to consider is, do you have the minimum requirements needed to apply for the majority of the graduate training programs? Now, in most cases, the minimum requirement would be either at least a 2-2 in some cases, but in the majority of cases it would be a 2-1 that you would need to fulfill to apply to quite a lot of the graduate training programs. The other thing you want to consider when applying for graduate training programs is that the application process itself can be a little bit more tedious. So usually if you're applying for an entry-level position, entry-level positions typically might just include, an application and then have an interview, and then you get the outcome of the job offer or not. Whereas if you're applying for a graduate training program, a graduate training program can have as much as 3 to 5 steps and stages in it within the application process before you actually then get to the point of which an offer is made to you or not. This is definitely something you want to consider, because the application process going through a graduate training program can be a little bit more tedious than when you are applying for an entry level position. One of the big benefits to applying for a graduate training scheme compared to an entry level job role is the fact that you will have that guarantee of funding support from the employer. So typically a graduate training scheme is designed to actually help you through the qualification process and help you with both the funding and the experience that you need to get you qualified. In some cases as well, the way the graduate training scheme has been structured will actually enable you to broaden both your skills and your experience as you are actually training. So it can be a win-win depending on how the structure of the graduate training program has actually been set up. The other benefit to applying for graduate accounting schemes over entry-level job positions as a way to get into accountancy is the fact that the graduate schemes generally tend to have a salary progression built into the scheme. So by this, I mean that if your particular accountancy qualification has different exam stages in it, I don't know, say, the foundation stage, the intermediate stage, and the advanced stage, just as an example, you will typically get a salary bump each time you complete those stages. So there might be, say, 3 exams you need to complete in the foundation stage before you are eligible for the salary progression at that stage, and then maybe another 6 exams that you have to complete at the intermediate stage before you are eligible for the salary progression after that stage. So that's what I mean by the inbuilt salary progression that is usually fixed in when you apply for graduate training schemes. And usually you don't tend to get this with entry-level positions. I mean, sometimes you might, but in most cases you don't. So these are just some of the things you want to consider when thinking about what route is best for you to take. I think that it's important to think about what your current situation is and also what you'd like out of your career going into accountancy. As usual, if you have any questions at all, please do make sure you leave them for me in the comments section down below. If you haven't already done so, do make sure you check out some of my other videos that I've made talking about other things to consider when thinking about a career in accountancy.